3, 2, 1.
And then after that, he said, well, you should start washing your own dishes. And I said, you want the dishes washed, you do it yourself. Then the pinhead had the audacity to kick me out. Me! I am the best roommate to have. The best! You remember when we roomed together? Do you remember that? You remember how great that was?
Yeah, man, some people just can't take the Jared style.
Happy New Year! Woo! Yeah! Yeah!
Yeah. Happy New Year? New Year happy?
Who are you?
I'm Mocha. The mighty Mocha Knot. I'm sure you haven't heard of me, but I'm new here. It's my first video on YouTube. Why are y'all looking at me like that?
It's because you're not cool enough to be on this platform. I don't know who invited you here, but this New Year's party is for elites only. Yeah, who's this chick think she is? I don't know, but she's kind of ugly. Who wears afros anymore? Oh, you guys smell that? It smells like commoner. We're gonna have to air it out in here.
Oh my gosh! What's wrong with her?
So, hi, my name is Mocha, and as you can probably guess from the mental breakdown I had in the beginning of this video, this is my first video on YouTube. Anywho, what we're talking about today is a passion project of mine, a webcomic going by the catchy title of The Heartwell Heim. Now, you might be asking yourself, why do I care? And to that, I'd say, you don't have to. That's not your job. It's my job to make you want to care about my passion project. You see how excellent of a saleswoman I'd be? Just proving you right that this might be a big waste of your time. Anyway, for those who are sticking around regardless, I'm going to be getting into the important pieces of my story, a bit of the main character, and kind of just explaining what's going on. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So basically, The Heartwell Heim is a story about destiny, fate, family, and redemption. It's a story where celestial drama, supernatural chaos, and just a sprinkle of existential dread collide. Think of it as if true crime met an epic cosmic war, and then they made this. That's basically what The Heartwell Heim is. It's just pain and suffering. But there's a good ending. It's a good ending. The ending is good, okay? Trust me. The angst comes, but it goes. And then it goes away forever, because I'm a sucker for a happy ending. And I know a lot of people out there, especially in recent times, are getting tired of the same story formula, but at the end of the day, the mass majority, the main population on Earth likes being happy. I don't know about you. I know sometimes you like to wallow in your bed and cry and listen to sad music on purpose. That's not me. And that's not right. You should not be doing that to yourself. I need you to get some help. I need you to either reach out to a therapist or reach out to God. Breaking away from explaining my story, I would just like to tell people this. I don't know who's watching this. I don't know who cares. But I would like to tell people this. You can tell your story with a positive main character, your positive lead, and have them be flawed. Make your character flawed. Let them have a flaw, whether it be something super tiny or super big. Your character can't be perfect. You know the Mary Sue. You know the Mary Sue type. Good Jesus. You know the Mary Sue type. But at the end of the day, your character has to confront that flaw and either learn that they can't overcome it on their own, or have them overcome it. Have that be a story arc or the main part of the story. What defines your character's character is their reaction. It is not what the narrator or what your author's voice tells the audience. It's what the character does. Actions, as always, and as everyone has heard this saying before, actions speak louder than words. So if I were to tell you that Demi, the main character of the Heartwell Heim, is like this good and virtuous and kind guy, and all you see him do is like beat the crap out of orphans, like what was I lying for? Why did I lie to you? My random tangent aside, let's get into the meat of today's video. Although I can totally rant about story arcs and characters and how people perceive characters all day, and that might be another video separately on its own. Like and subscribe if you really want to stick around and see that. Anyway, let's move on. As I mentioned before, and as you can probably guess, the Heartwell Heim is a fantasy, almost a little science fiction, and then very Christian coded. It's very there's a lot of biblical imagery and a lot of biblical metaphors and similes and stuff, and it's just meant to encompass my love for God, okay? So if you don't want to read that, also, non-Christian people can read it too. I'm not leaving anyone out. You can be, I don't know, you could be agnostic, atheist, Buddhist, whatever, Catholic. You can read it and still get a good message from it because it's a very relatable human experience, and the human experience is the human experience. And if you're a human, you'd understand. Unless you're like Fergus, then you're not understanding, but that's fine, you know. Let me just start talking properly now. This is Demetrius, aka Demi, aka Demetrius Heartwell, aka Eclipse, aka Demi, did you drink water today, Heartwell? This is the main character. This is our boy. This is who we're rooting for, okay? Stick with it. I know. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I just had an inside joke play in my head. Let me stop. This is who we're with. This is who we're with, okay? This is our main character, but this is not the only character that you will find yourself liking in the Heartwell Heim, because I don't mean to brag, but your girl can write some pretty likable characters, okay? Like, that's just my thing. Like, I'm a people person. I love humans. Like, I be up in the stew just being like, how can I make this character real but likable? Like, how can I make them, I don't know, let's say, I don't know, like Gen Z relatable, like a Gen Z team. But for real, this is our boy Demi. He is the product of suffrage, as most people are. Can I get an amen? If you said amen, I love you. If you didn't, that's fine. I still love you. That's fine. Anyway, at the heart of the entire story, we've got Demi, our main guy. Demi is a hybrid detective, balancing the two worlds he loves and calls home. On one side, he's got the malignant, the outcast beings cursed by celestial betrayal. We'll get into that later. And on the other hand, there's humanity, who, well, kind of just makes things worse sometimes, like we tend to do. But, you know, it's human nature. And then let's not forget the Celestials, the quote-unquote good guys, overseer of all things that are good and amazing. I said seer as in singular, but there's several Celestials. Seers, please. I'm not illiterate. I have the English level good enough to be able to do this. I promise. My reading level is aligned with my age. I think it's above it. I promise I'm not stupid. Anyway, how did we get to Demi's story? Let's rewind a little bit. There's some stuff that happens before this kid's even born. He's not a kid. He's like 24, but you know, in the grand calculus of the multiverse, his sacrifice. Here's the backstory in a nutshell. Once upon a time, beings of light and earth were living and vibing in harmony. Perfect harmony, in fact. Everything was as it should have been, underneath the light, which is basically the representation of God in the story. But then, of course, as all things do, it all fell apart, and that was due to greed. So, to start it off, there are 14 celestial families, and each of them was given a gift, something that they were good at, and something that they were put to use that gift for. They all had jobs, and they had gifts that aligned with their jobs, but it's not like you couldn't do anything else out of free will and enjoy your life or anything, but you had a calling, like most people usually do, but we're not going to get into that. You had a calling and something that you were good at. So each celestial were like, yeah, we're going to gang squad. This is awesome. This is lit. 14 families. Remember that. 7 of them are kind of evil, and the other 7 are just chilling. They're enjoying the fact that they were made perfect and that they're happy with their lives and they get to live for however long they want to. It's harmony. It's peace, and people are happy. Okay? That's just the basis of it. Just imagine being happy all the time, and that's what it was like living in the ether. Did I mention that the world that they live in, the Celestials, the realm, let's not say world, the realm that they live in is called the ether. Peace, joy, love, yada yada yada. Anyway, 7 good guys, 7 bad guys. 7 good Celestials, families, not just 7 single Celestials. Good God, why do I keep doing this? 7 good Celestial families, 7 bad Celestial families, or morally gray. Let's just say that. They're not inherently evil. They're just like selfish and wicked. Evil. Anyway, as I was saying, so we've got the 7 baddies, and they're like, okay, so look, we want more. This whole peace thing isn't enough. I think we want power as well. So they plan to betray their father, the Light. And the 7 good guys, they hear this, and they're like, oh shoot, that's not good. You guys should go to Dad and tell him that you're feeling misrepresented somehow. I don't know why, but you should just tell him how you feel. And they're like, you know what? Yeah, we'll actually go do that. Thank you so much for thank you so much for, putting us on the right track. And then the 7 good guys are like, oh, for real? Bet. All right, let's go make merry and dance. 7 bad guys go back to the Light, and they're like, Father, listen. You won't believe it, Father. The 7 families of blah, blah, blah are like, oh my goodness, we want more power, and Father, they're planning to overthrow you. And the Light is like, okay. Did they say that? Yes, we heard it with our own mouth, Father. And then the Light is like, okay, that's cool. So I want to hear them say it. And too afraid to actually bring their 7 brethren and sistren over to be confronted by the Light on a grand scale, a grand stage, because this is treason, bro. This is treason against your father, bro. They're like, let's just start spreading rumors. Let's just start spreading rumors that it's them. Rumors get spread. And it gets really big. And the other Celestials that are just like the other like normal Celestials, they're not like the 14 royal families like the first 14 created. They're, they're just the guys that, get made like the way humans work. So they start spreading rumors and they start yapping and talking, and they're like, oh yeah, those other 7 guys, I'm so glad they're the ones that are the main ones in charge, because that other set of families is just wildin'. Why would you sin against our father like that? Why would y'all be such oppositions in this wonderful place we have? So it gets to the point where a big meeting happens, and during this, the Light has gone to create humanity. It's happening. It's gonna be amazing, and this is a new addition to our family, our big happy family in this big cosmos world where I love all of you, and love is amazing, and we all love each other. He goes off to go make humans. And this is when the other evil 7 families are like, oh, heck yeah, we can banish them while he's gone. Woo, let's go. And so by this point, the good 7 families are hearing the rumors, and they're like, what are y'all talking about? What are y'all talking about? And so they confront their brethren, and they're like, look, I don't know why you guys are lying, but it was y'all, and this is in private. They're still trying to be civil by this point. This is in private. And they're like, okay, well, we have a meeting anyway, so we'll let the public decide. They take it to the public, and the public is like, y'all need to stop. Like, why would you guys try and ruin our joy? And the public decides, along with the 7 evil families who are just eating this up. They're like, they're like, yes, excellent. And the 7 good guys are just like, are y'all for real right now? So big meeting happens among all of celestial life while the Light is taking care of creation. And long story short, because this has already been a long story and I did not plan to explain it this way, this was supposed to be a separate video, but I got too into it. Anyway, long story short, the good guys are the ones that get cast down into the pit of darkness that we call the Nefarium. But before anything official happened, and before anyone was actually kicked out, here were the conditions. Head of the household, you had to leave. That was your name. That was you. That was all of what you had been doing. You were the head of the household. You were letting the bad things take place. Quote unquote, letting the bad things take place, knowing that the ones that are getting cast down aren't actually the bad guys. Condition 2. What is wrong with me? Condition 2. The firstborn child. Son or daughter, didn't matter. Firstborn child had to get kicked out. If you're the wife or husband, hey, you live in Kush. You could choose to stay or not. those were the conditions. And any children that came after that, you could denounce your family name and stay upstairs. And this is where a lot of controversy in the comic itself comes in. Like, there's this term that they use for people who stayed upstairs. They call them name staves. They're like, oh, that guy's a name stave. He's a loser, bro. He was like gang squad and was like, I'm not gonna fall for my daddy. Like, imagine it could not be me. Okay, let's get personal real quick. I love my father. And justice is something I'm very proud to say that I associate with. I love when things follow a justice system. I would have oh my god, I'm stuttering. I would have went downstairs too, bro. Cause like, you're not finna lie on my daddy's name and I'm not there to support him. Like, you will get set on fire. You will get stoned to death before you lie on my daddy. And I'm like, okay, bye. Wow. The way I know that there's people out there that would be like, yeah, I can't do that, bro. I'm living cush upstairs. It's cold down there. I can't. Bye. Goodbye, dad. I don't even like you like that anyway. But yeah, you could denounce that you were a insert last name. So, in Demi's father's case, Lucian Heartwell, clap, everyone clap. Yeah, I know you don't know who this is yet, but clap anyway, because just, Anyway, Lucian Heartwell, he was the second born son of his household. There's his older brother Lucius, and then his father, Yakazir. We love this guy. He's chef's kiss. Not his father. We love Lucian. His father's kind of a trash boat, but we'll get into that later in another video. I'm not explaining that right now because I already have so much meat in this, and it's the first video that I'm posting, and oh my gosh, I just realized I'm yapping! But anyway, Lucian chose to go with his older brother, his mom, who also opted in to leave, and his father. He was like, I'm not splitting up my family. I love my family, and the light will redeem us in the end. The light will see that this is bad stuff, and the light will redeem us. Right? Right? After getting cast into the Nefarium and not being redeemed for whatever reason, the 7 good families started to lose hope, and they started to really dwell on what had happened and how nothing that they did was wrong and how they were entirely correct in what they did, besides actually speaking up and taking responsibility for their own salvation. So, they're down there wallowing in rage and anger. And after losing hope, and after being cast down, and after wallowing in self-pity and rage and that feeling of being abandoned, they started to change and turned into demonic-looking freak creatures known as the Malignant. They were down there for eons, by the way, before transforming into monsters. I mean, like, if it were me, to be honest, it would have taken a week, but they were down there for a really long time, and it only took maybe 20,000 million trillion eons before they're like, okay, look, I think we're hopeless, so let's start a riot!
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
And after transforming into monstrous beasts, this is where they decide that a war needs to happen, and that nothing is going to get across to the Celestials more than bloodshed. But they're only like, maybe a good, like, 100 of them, you know? So they need some way to actually be able to stand against the Celestials without all dying and being murdered. We got this guy who's like, I have a plan. I have an idea. You guys should, like, maybe listen to me. Who, after denouncing his name and being cast down, took the title of the Maker. This guy was the only Celestial who had the ability to create things without consoling the light, because his heart was so pure that the light trusted whatever he decided to make. And now bro is like, man, F y'all, F your mom, and F you too. And so he's like, look y'all, I think that with our rage and anger down here, we could possibly yield the power of the Primordial Black, the representation of pure evil in this story. It is just this oopy goopy, you know, venom from anything Marvel related. I'm sure you've seen Venom before. It's oopy goopy, nasty, black, but sometimes it takes the representation of a heatless flame. But basically, the maker's like, let's harness the primordial black. I'll do it personally. I will harness the primordial black myself first, and I will create you guys an army. Their army, later identified as the Forsaken, are created, and then we get this boom, bam, bop, bang, bang event, which is called the war. I don't know if you guys ever heard of a war before, but it's very unproductive most of the time. You're just running around killing people. Y'all know how wars go. Yada, 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 yada. Fighting, fighting, stab, stab, stab. Everyone gets tired of fighting. And then there are these 3 champions who have just been consistently dominating on the malignant side. We've got Lucien, Demi's daddy. Jean, the GOAT! I said Demi was the GOAT before. Jean is the GOAT. Jean is my favorite character to write for. I love Jean. I love Jean down, okay? And then Freya, who is also the GOAT! You'll learn to care more about these characters later because they're just like... I love them, okay? I'm really confident in my ability to make people like my characters because, I don't know, Without getting too much into their personalities, I will just say that they're like the role models. Currently, in current times, they're the role models of just everything. They're like, oh my goodness, I want to be like Freya because she's strong and pretty. I want to be like Jean because he's smart. I want to be like Lucien because I hate talking to people. But anyway, we've got these 3 suckers, historically known as the 3 Lords of War. Now, they're like, why do we have to fight? Why must we fight like cats and dogs? And everyone else is tired of fighting too, so they're like, okay, so what do we do about this? The Malignant, by this point, they're kind of like mind-bended by the primordial black. They're like, do we really want to go back home? You know, we got all this power now, and we've got all this access to the Nefarium, which is just a desolate, cold wasteland. Like, imagine, like, caveman energy. That's what it's giving. They're like, if y'all are still up there, we don't want to associate with the ether anymore. So we just want equal rights. Equal rights, bro. Like, just give us the bare minimum. We want y'all to give us equal rights and acknowledge us not as monsters, but as people. And then the Celestials are like, yeah, bet, okay. As long as you guys don't try and kill us. And then they're just going back and forth on rules, and then officially a treaty is signed. There are rules on this treaty, and I'm not going to read them right now because it's an extensive list. And then there is the 177 council laws, which I will definitely be getting into later, but just not in this video because I bet this video is... I bet this video is already about to be like 20 minutes long, and I meant for it to be 10 minutes, and I just remembered I'm yapping! But anyway, peace! Yay! Let's celebrate! And that is the story of how the Malignant came to be. That is the world history. That is what most people... I promised myself I would not lisp. That is what most people know to be true. Details aside, there's plenty of details that happened during the war. There's plenty of lore-heavy moments in the war, bro. I could make a spin-off series solely dedicated to the war, and it would still be interesting because Jean, Freya, Lucien, yeah! I said all of that to bring you back to Demi because his lineage is directly connected to the biggest fumble of this world's history. They fumbled so hard that they need this little dog man to help them out. Now we've got modern times. Modern times in this world is just basically modern times anywhere. I think for what I wrote it for, it was supposed to take place in 2016, but I bumped it up a little bit because some crazy stuff has happened, and I think I need to be on the current playing field when it comes to telling this story because people need to relate to it, you know, like all the way. And I think it happening more so in these terrible 20s is gonna be impactful for people to understand that hope is not lost and God is good. We've got the Nefarium is booming, bro. The Nefarium is like a wonderland of just, you know, being as sinful as possible and, you know, being in opposition. I think that is what the Nefarium is mostly known for. And everyone's just enjoying themselves. You know, they do whatever they want to an extent because out of chaos, the council was born. 2 councils, the council for the Celestials and then the council for the Malignant. But they also come together as a joint council. I forgot what the name was. I'll put it up on the screen here. But yeah, so 2 councils, each in charge of their realms as a whole. Not getting into government right now. The government of the Heartwell Heim. I'm not getting into that government system right now. That will be a separate video when I go into more depth about the world building and world laws and stuff like that. But let's just say the way things work on Earth is similar to how things work in the Nefarium. Just think about the Nefarium being extra terrible. The Earth is already sucking right now, but think about it being extra terrible with a little sprinkle of badness. I've talked about the world enough. Let's get into Demi. His character. Don't take that out of context. We got our boy, Demi, son of a Heartwell. Let's just say, in this world, that name holds great weight. Son of a Heartwell, and son of a very beautiful, kind lady known as Rochelle. Now, the treaty had some pretty dumb laws on it, specifically beneficial to Celestials, but they just wanted the war to be over. But one of the laws directly affects Demi and malignant beings in general. So, here's the law. Malignant beings can't have babies with each other. Doesn't that suck? Imagine knowing a family and you're like, we get along and we want to be a bigger family and our kids like each other. How about these kids have kids? That's not an option for them because the Celestials think that their kids will turn into uncontrollable monsters. Spoiler alert, they're wrong, but fear makes people do dumb things. So, Demi is the product of his dad, Lucien, a malignant war hero, and his mom, Rochelle, a Forsaken jackal shifter. Now remember, the Forsaken are a maker creation. The Maker creation. His name's the Maker, not just Maker. But anyway, they're a creation of hate. So they have problems, and they need those problems solved. But despite this, Lucien actually loved his wife. We're not going to talk about their relationship because it genuinely makes me want to cry, because it's based off of a lot of real things that have happened in my life, minus the bad parts. But yeah, it's just too much for me to handle sometimes. We're not talking about that right now. However, Lucien loved his wife, and Lucien pursued his wife, not because he just wanted to have kids, but because he was looking for someone to spend the rest of his life with. Cue Demi, a love child. Both of their children, Azier, Demi's older brother, and Demetrius, are love children. And that is very important because the amount of love that you put into your child in this world equates to how much love they give back to you. And I think that that is universally true for most people, because if you hate your kid, I think your kid's gonna hate you back. But that's important. Anyway, let me keep talking about this. So, with that in mind, Demi's life was good. Like, kosher. Mwah! Chef's kiss. He was living it up, bro. He was loved by his family. He had 2 great uncles and aunts, and he was just happy, okay? Demi was a happy kid. Let's just get that straight. Before he was depressed and smoking cigarettes, Demi was a happy kid, okay? But then tragedy struck, as it always will in a man's life. And his mom was killed by monster hunters. They're called something else, but then again, I'm slow, so I forget my own lore sometimes, which is why it's all written down in a Google Doc. And his whole world flipped upside down. For that moment, he was forced to grow up super fast, and it was internalized, of course. You don't really recognize that you're maturing so quickly until someone points it out, like, oh, you're pretty mature for your age, and then you think back and you're like, oh yeah. Wow, anyway, so, and as most kids with intense amount of trauma usually do, he carried this for the rest of his life. Fast forward into adulthood, and Demi now works for the Department of Celestial and Malignant Defense, aka the DCMD. And when I tell you, I love the flow of this title, I will put it in every sentence in my script for the Heartwell Heim whenever I can. Whenever someone's mentioning the government, I make sure that the DCMD is in there because I just love the way it flows. It sounds so real. Like, if I were to be like, oh yeah, the DCMD just put out a new rhetoric, and everyone's like, what are you talking about? What happened? What's the DCMD? I would just giggle immediately afterwards. I would lose my mind because people believed me. My mischievousness aside, the DCMD is in charge of peacemaking. They make sure, they're like the police, okay? They're like SWAT, they're like the FBI, they're like actual detectives. Like, that's what they do. That is their job. It encompasses a lot of pieces of that, but it's the whole branch, the whole system is known as the DCMD. Their whole mission is to maintain peace and detain people who do not keep the peace and infringe on other people's rights. Demi joined up with the DCMD to not only look for his mother's killer, but to also make sure that whatever happened to him, doesn't happen to other people, regardless of the caliber or what exactly happened to him. It's just, he doesn't want anger and rage and pain to fill other people the way it filled him after he lost his mom. So he's gonna make sure that people don't go out there and be menaces to society. But don't get it twisted. Demi's not the type of guy who goes looking for fights. Like, Demi don't want the smoke, okay? Seriously, bro is chill. He chilling. He just want to live his life for real. He just want to make sure other people get to live their life. He's just trying to do his job and go home to his empty house and his dog, Gannon. Like, if you got a problem with him, he's the guy that hits you with the, you don't want to do this.
Oh my God, bro.
Oh, because it's not like he's a punk. He'd just rather see someone surrender to the law willingly than beat their apples. Now, what makes Demi special? Beyond his hybrid blood and detective skills and his excellent cooking, it's his heart. Demi is a genuinely caring guy, and I know people are tired of seeing this character, but I think we need to be reminded on a daily basis when we look at TV that it is okay to be a nice person. Well, no, being nice is performative. It's okay to be kind. It is okay to be generous. It's okay to be giving of yourself. I think that is so important in a character, which is why I mess with Tanjiro, but we're not gonna talk about that. I could write an essay about Tanjiro. Of course, he's not entirely realistic, because I don't know anyone on this planet who would be as kind as Tanjiro is, but when we're looking at it in a way to aspire to be that person, for me, my top inspirations in anime are Izuku Midoriya, Tanjiro, and Thorfinn, bro. Like, you gotta be real with yourself, bro. If you aspired to be those people, you would be happier. You would have a better life. Being kind is not a weakness. That is it for my TED Talk today. Back to Demi. Demi's a nice guy. He likes being nice. Kind. I always get those two mixed up. Being nice is performative. Look it up. He knows and was taught by his father that doing what is good doesn't always pay the bills. It doesn't always fulfill your spirit, but it sets you up to be a person who will recognize that doing good is what is good. Doing good is good. It's good, okay? Demi was the type of kid to stand up to bullies, even though sometimes he went a little overboard because he's got rage problems, but we're not gonna talk about that. He was the let me help you across the street guy. He was the, oh my goodness, you left a pencil at home? Here, have mine. And Demi's character is reflective of people like that in real life who are dealt a bad hand. And still, regardless of your religious orientation, and still choose to be good. Choosing to be a good person is so difficult. That's why I always have these problems with these people who are like, dude, the villain's better. He just gets to go outside and do whatever he wants. Obviously, duh. Why do you think that that's the villain character? Bro gets no repercussions for anything he's done because he's just doing what he wants. Demi is walking a razor-thin line between light and dark, trying to prove that you don't have to be defined by your past or your bloodline or the way you look. And while he's solving cases and busting heads when he has to, surely there is no righteous man on earth who does good and never sins. That is the point of the Heartwell Heim. The point of the Heartwell Heim, that is it. Navigating the truth of good and evil and the gray in between is never easy. But if you do it with intention, life is just so much more fulfilling. I want to make people laugh, smile, and cry with this series, but I also want people to reflect inward and think about themselves and how they can be better. I want to leave people with questions that they can take out into the world with them and find answers to, and I want people who come in with questions to have those questions answered. It sounds super ambitious, but this concept and world are like 8 years old, so it's finna be Detroit Become Human 5. Y'all heard? No, for real, this is a long time coming, and I only recently just got the balls to actually put my stuff out there. So, like, be nice to me. People are mean and scary, so please don't make fun of me. Anyway, that's it for this one. I know it's probably longer than I intended it to be, and editing Mocha, just relax. Take a deep breath. Exhale. I got you, girl. I did have like a character interview thingy planned for this one, so you could get to know my characters a little bit more in a more quote-unquote cinematic fashion, but it definitely would have been an hour-long video for sure. And I don't think my internet can handle that, so this is it. But I hope after seeing my art, a bit of my personality, and a lot of unnecessary giggling, you'll choose to stick around. You can expect lighthearted goofy content, short animatics, and full-length lore dump videos as well. This channel isn't just for promoting my comic, of course, so if anybody actually winds up watching this to the end, that wasn't family. Let me know some other things you'd actually like to see me do. Honestly, I like variety in my work, so just let me know. Overall, I hope this was as entertaining for you as it was oddly therapeutic for me, and if you'd actually like to see the little character interview thing I had planned, maybe leave a like and subscribe for long term. You can always leave if you start to hate me or if I get annoying. And subscribing is free, by the way, you don't have to pay anything. Anyway, stay creative, stay healthy, and have a blessed rest of your day.